Did you know a single rattling chhing or a bright roneat motif can unlock centuries of memory inside a temple stones? Imagine standing in a sunlit gallery at Angkor. The air is cool, the stone is warm under your palm, and from a distance you hear a short repeating xylophone phrase, a bright bell-like pattern that climbs and falls, like someone calling across a courtyard. Today, we'll follow that call. Welcome to Ancient Echoes, where we dive deep into the heart of Cambodian culture and history. I'm your host, Samnang Bradley.
And I'm Rachana Solve. We'll walk through origins, makers, and the living practices that let Khmer music breathe across generations. What this reveals is not just musical technique, but how sound shapes identity, place, and memory. As we listen closely, I'll bring cultural context and questions that help us unpack the stories behind each instrument and performance.
Hook and promise. Let me paint the roneat for you. Picture a wooden keyboard of tuned slats struck with padded mallets so notes bloom with a warm, ringing clarity. The motif I described, 3 quick notes, a falling resolution, acts like a musical fingerprint in many temple rituals. We won't be able to play the recording on every platform, so I'll describe the sounds and point you to curated recordings in the show notes. By the end of this hour, you'll be able to hear and name the instruments, understand why Angkor's stone halls matter to the sound, and know how to listen respectfully to living traditions.
Section 1. Background. When we say Khmer music, we're talking about an umbrella of traditions. The ceremonial pinpeat ensemble that accompanies royal and religious rites, the more intimate mahori music used for courtly entertainment and dance, and a vast array of village and folk styles that vary by region. Pinpeat is often the symbol people think of when they hear Khmer music. It centers on bronze gongs, wind instruments, and the roneat xylophone family. Mahori wins towards stringed instruments and a gentler, more lyrical approach. Across these forms, you'll find recurring instruments and rhythmic patterns that link ritual, dance, and social life. Remember, context is everything. Music sits inside ceremony, daily life, and seasonal calendars.
From a cultural standpoint, music is a mode of memory. Ensembles carry stories about lineage, ritual obligations, and community roles. Instruments are often considered more than tools. They are crafted with meaning, named, tended, and sometimes treated as family heirlooms. The layers matter. How a song is learned, who plays which part, and where it is performed all tell us about Cambodian social life and how heritage is passed along. The research tells us that oral transmission is central. Notation came later, and even today, much teaching happens by watching, imitating, and being present in rehearsals.
Section 2. Instruments up close. Let's examine the main voices you'll hear. First, the roneat family. Roneat ek, the lead xylophone, and roneat tung, the lower register. They are typically crafted from well-seasoned hardwoods. Keys are tuned carefully, sometimes adjusted with wax or pegs beneath each bar. The timbre is bright and percussive, cutting through the ensemble as a melodic guide. Next, the tro family, bowed fiddles with horsehair bows and resonant bodies. The tro blends a thin singing line that can be haunting and intimate. Then there's the kong vong, the gong circle, bronze gongs set on a circular frame, each tuned to a pitch so the player can outline melodies and harmonic color. Chhing are small cymbals that mark tempo and phrasing with a crisp metallic tick. Percussion, such as the score tom drums, provide pulse and accent.
Let me unpack construction and makers. Instrument makers are artisans who combine knowledge of wood, metal, and acoustics. Bronze casting for gongs follows techniques that are both technical and ritualized. Mold making, alloy ratios, and aging processes all influence tone. Woodworkers choose species that sustain vibration without cracking. Drying and shaping are critical. Tuning systems in Khmer music are not identical to Western equal temperament. They emerge from ensemble balance and local aesthetic choices, producing intervals that may feel unfamiliar but are deeply expressive in context. Consider this perspective. The instrument's life, from selection of materials to the player's touch, shapes the music's soul.
Temple and acoustic landscapes. Now imagine that same roneat motif played inside Angkor's galleries. Stone surfaces reflect and sustain sound differently than wood or thatch. Long, vaulted corridors create natural reverberation. Courtyard spaces allow sound to project and interweave. Angkorian architecture, with its carved bas-reliefs and stepped galleries, scatter sound in complex ways. Musicians historically adapted repertoire and playing style to these spaces, slower tempos, elongated notes, and the use of resonance to fill sacred space. The acoustic memory of a temple persists. Even when daily rituals shift, people remember the way music used to hang in the air, and that memory shapes contemporary performances at heritage sites.
This speaks to how place and practice co-evolve. In villages, open-air performances favor clarity and rhythmic drive. In shrines or courts, the music may unfold with more space and ornamentation. That's where the richness lies. Instruments, architecture, and ritual all inform one another. The evidence shows us that listening to Khmer music without considering place misses half the story. Let's dig deeper into performance context now.
Section 3. Performance Contexts, Teaching, and Revival. Khmer music moves through life's moments: weddings, funerals, festivals, theatrical dance, and daily devotional practice. Pinpeat provides dance accompaniment for classical Khmer dance. Mahori supports more intimate storytelling and courtly repertoire. Teaching remains largely oral. Elders model phrases. Students learn through repetition, and apprenticeships ensure continuity. Today, revival work is active. Musicians, instrument makers, and cultural organizations are rebuilding repertoires, documenting techniques, and teaching youth. In the diaspora, ensembles reconnect communities to homeland sounds, often adapting to new contexts while trying to remain authentic.
Ethical considerations matter. When documenting or attending performances, the tradition teaches us to ask permission, credit artists, and support local structures, whether that's hiring musicians, purchasing instruments from local makers, or directing donations to community-led preservation projects. Avoid exoticizing or treating rituals as novelty. The cultural significance is in the relationships between teacher and student, maker and musician, community and place. If you want authentic recordings, seek curated archives, museum collections, and trusted online resources. We've linked favorites in the show notes.
Listener engagement. We want to hear from you. Share moments when Khmer music surprised you, or tell us which instrument you'd like to learn about next. Follow @Ancient Echoes Pod and Samnang's YouTube channel for visual guides to roneat tuning, gong making, and field recordings from temples and villages. If you're doing field research, come prepared with cultural humility. Ask how performers prefer to be recorded, offer fair compensation, and share copies of your work with the communities involved. Tag your posts with #Ancient Echoes and #Khmer Music so we can amplify community voices.
Recap and CTA. Today, we listened past the notes to the makers, the spaces, and the social life that carry Khmer music forward. We traced instruments like the roneat, tro, vong, and chhing, explored Angkorian soundscapes, and talked about responsible listening and revival work. If this episode deepened your curiosity, please subscribe to Ancient Echoes and follow Samnang Bradley's YouTube channel for the visual explorations tied to this episode. Share this episode with someone who loves music, history, or cultural heritage. Let's unlock the echoes of history together.
Outro and credits. Gentle outro music fades in softly. That brings us to the end of this episode of Ancient Echoes. We hope these stories helped you hear Cambodian history and culture in a deeper, more human way. The echoes of the past live on in people's voices, memories, and everyday lives. Thank you for listening and for making space for these stories. If this episode resonated with you, please follow Ancient Echoes on your favorite podcast app and share it with someone who might appreciate these conversations.
You can also connect with us and share your own stories or questions at the links in our show notes. Until next time, thank you for listening to Ancient Echoes. Music swells briefly, then fades out.
In the quiet of night, I whispered my plea, holding her close, hoping for her decree. I called upon spirits, asked them to guide, to take her heart and lead her by my side. So I drew her near, traced her brow so fair, my sight is way. Sacred power, swai, mighty spirit awaken. By the master's right, let her heart be gently taken. Let her follow me now by vow and by sign. I hear these words, oh teacher, witness this plea. Oh, my sacred power, swai.